Oops. Hello, everyone. Let me just make sure my earbuddy things are on. Good morning, everyone in the US. Good afternoon to those of you that are in this part of the world. And I think many of you, if you're on the Australian, New Zealand side, you're probably still sleeping or just getting up. So I guess it would be good morning to you. So thank you, everyone, for being here on today's Peace Talks. And I know that I had a couple of new people. Hi, Jessica. Welcome. I got your message that you were sleeping during the last one. I get it. These energies have been quite quite exhausting. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Well, not a little, little. We're here to talk a lot about it, but I hear you. So there is no apologizing or no feeling bad if you're not on here live, because today literally I was just like, maybe I'll record this and then I was like, well, it just takes as much energy to record it. But yeah, these last few days have been quite intense, and potent. All the words that I always use, and I wish I had new ones for, because this is a whole new level of intensity, I feel like. If you're new here, if you're watching this Peace Talks on the recording, this is where we come to restore the peace within, and I'm finding that we're doing that more and more by understanding this process that we are in, this evolutionary ascension process that we are in day to day, and really getting into the practical experience of it, because this is what's doing these Peace Talks, y'all, is really helping me understand more and more, because I have to dig deep into them. And today's message, I had to dig deep for today, and I'll tell you why. I'll share why. And because as I was bringing it through, and as I've been trying to understand what is happening, what I'm realizing is we are in brand new uncharted territory in energetics. This is completely different from anything that I recognize. The information that I'm getting, the knowledge and wisdom that I'm getting is hard to put into words. It's hard for my mind to understand. So my mind is being expanded almost every day at this point. And that's a good thing. We know this is happening, but also I have some information as to why this is. We are now in uncharted territory because we are using new equipment, new technology that we've never had. But I want to first just kind of was looking at the Schumann before we got on, and I've been talking for a while now about how the Schumann, I'm not so sure it's so accurate, because the energies that we have had coming in this year have I believe have transcended what the Schumann resonance can really record. And if you're new here, the Schumann resonance is a meter, so to speak, that measures Earth's heartbeat, the vibration and the frequency of Earth. And it was designed, I think it was in the 1960s, by a gentleman named Schumann. It was his last name, but I can't remember his first name. And that at that point, our planet was pretty regulated with operating at 7.83 hertz. So any big energies that came in, it was pretty accurate with recording that. However, as we've gotten more and more after 2012, as we ascended into, or as we moved into this new time, this new frequency, and the frequencies of Earth have been getting higher and higher because of our planetary orbit into this photon belt. We are now in a place where I believe the Schumann doesn't really understand and can communicate I mean, it's kind of like us. Like we're completely understanding these energies in a different, experiencing these energies in a different way. So this is technology, man-made technology, that I think is not really fully accurate. But when it does show something, it makes me understand that it's still pulling in the frequencies that it's familiar with. So when it goes a little crazy, it knows, like, it's recording the frequencies, I believe that it recognizes, and yet we know that there's a lot more to those energies. So it has been extremely, extremely quiet. I'm just going to show it to you on my phone all week, but in the last 13 hours, we've been in this. And if you see all of this red, how I kind of understand it and explain it is, and I think I have something on my YouTube channel. I went, this is from last year. I did like a little, YouTube kind of class on it. So it's in here somewhere on my YouTube channel. But this red indicates where like densities are being kind of like burned away. Like the red is like zapping how it, like these are the energies that are like zzz, kind of cauterizing and waking up and triggering these densities. The green are the healing. This is the healing energies that come in, and we had a pretty large spike there. So the last 13 hours we've been in some pretty heavy energies. Even like the Schumann's even like, whoa, this is some energy. But the last 48 hours, I mean, shoot, even before that, just before the when was Monday? Wait, Sunday. What day are we on? Today's Thursday. Wait a minute. What day is today? I don't even know what day it is, y'all. Okay, hold on. Bear with me here. Thursday. Yeah. So Tuesday, time is weird, right? Time is so strange. The night times last forever. And I love that. I've been reading and just comments and stuff, and I see that a lot of people can't sleep. I sleep like I'm dead. Like I'm out of this world at night. And when, like, in those moments where I kind of come to and like, kind of tap back into my body before I go back out, I realize like, wow, I feel like I've been sleeping forever. So I love it. I love the night times because they seem like really long, but the just time feels different. And I never really know what day it is, obviously. So the solar eclipse, the partial solar eclipse was Tuesday. So 2 days before that, I was like deep. And since then, I've been deep, really deep. Yesterday was a rough day, and I'm gonna be really vulnerable about it because I mean, it took me low into these realms that I talk about. I call, like, yesterday I was like, I'm in the realms of hell, and it was like I was down here. Not It wasn't in fear. There was like I keep calling it just hopelessness. It was just like, why bother? What am I doing this for? It just all feels so hard, and I don't see it reflected in my reality. And I know why, because it's just we're shifting so fast in consciousness that our the projection of this expansion just can't keep up, or can't quite catch up to our reality here. So I get it, but at the same time, like, there comes a point where, like, I was just, I mean, not literally on my knees, but pretty much on my knees yesterday, with just praying all day and just saying, like, please show me the light. Like, this is I'm going deep. And I felt so lonely. I felt distant from, like, and yes, geographically I'm distant from my husband Bud, and from a lot of everything I know. But I feel so distant from everything I know of this world. Like, anywhere I look at this point, I don't recognize the world. I see pollution everywhere. I see noise everywhere, and it's not a reflection of what's in here anymore. Like, when we look out into our reality, it's a reflection of where we are. However, what is, I think, is hard for us on this journey is to understand that we have expanded so quickly in consciousness, and the projection of the reality hasn't caught up with that. So it's not it's like we're ahead in time, in consciousness, but we're looking out into this world that hasn't caught up to us yet. So it like, when I look out, I'm like, this isn't a reflection. So it's confusing to my whole being. So yesterday was a hard day. I woke up today the same way, and I went for my normal walk that I go to in the morning at the hike. And the dogs have been driving me crazy because they're like amped up and just anxious. Like, one's been throwing up, Pepe's been throwing up, and it's like cleaning up throw up when you're just pissed off at life. So what I know is, and here's what I finally like, I'm so grateful for these peace talks, y'all. You have no idea, because there comes a point in the day where I'm like, okay, help me make sense of all this. I can be in it and roll around in my poo puddle like I have been in the last couple of days, and getting into these, these lower realms, and just giving myself the permission to roll around in it, which means that we're giving ourselves permission to feel all that those energies are zapping and triggering. And these are things that, again, I said it on Tuesday, that I didn't even know was in me anymore. Like, these are like those pockets, those hidden, all of those concealed densities are now like, they're not hiding anymore. They can't hide. So it is literally bringing up everything that is left in us. And so there's like unfamiliar traumas, there's unfamiliar emotional gunk and poop that's in us, that's just coming up. So allowing ourselves to feel it is exactly how we heal it. And we know that by now. And yet, even when like, just knowing it still, when it happens, it's hard. It's hard, y'all. I still feel it. And I just want you to know that I'm still going through it too. So um I had another thought. So I wanted to read something, because I had a little bit of an aha moment when I was tapping into this and really getting deep into it, to pull in understanding, and asking my team, okay, help me understand everything we're going through, so that I can understand it and I can share from my perspective, this process that we're in. And I got a couple things that really helped kind of give me the light. Like, I've been praying for light, and all of a sudden it started to come in as I tuned into what this message would be. So that's why I'm super grateful for answering the call to do these peace talks, because they are so healing for me. And I had to get to that point where I kind of was like, okay, I'm done rolling around in the poop. I'm going to step out of my poop puddle. I'm going to, clean myself off energetically, and now I'm going to tune and be like, what was that? What was that all about? So remember, we are in between. We're in eclipse season. So we had the partial solar eclipse on Tuesday, the 25th, October 25th. And then I said the November 5th on Tuesday, but I checked it. November 8th, we have a full moon lunar eclipse, so which is about instability. So it's that we're in between these two eclipses. So what do eclipses do? They hide the light. There's the shadow comes in. So we are kind of bookended in this time frame energetically. We're bookended by two big events, astrological events, that are bringing out all of the shadows. So it's kind of like, it's that constriction phase, right? It's this we are in the depression of, and we're being squeezed to, kind of squeeze out all of these densities. That is the next phase of our cleansing, of our purging, of our clearing out this stuff, and bringing our bodies back, not back into, but changing our bodies, transmuting our bodies from these carbon-based bodies into the crystalline bodies that they have to be in order to ascend into heaven on earth, into that fifth dimensional frequency. So we are having to get rid of all of the poo in us, the energetic poo. So that's what I was like, okay, I get that. Okay, I like that. I like that. I can deal with that. I can understand that. When my mind can wrap around the fact that I'm not losing my mind, it has a reason. I understand this. So we are, and with, before we take any kind of jumps up, before we jump up in our power, we have to constrict. So as with anything, when I was thinking about the vision I got is, and I don't rock climb, but I've seen them and I've watched documentaries on people that rock climb, and when they get to a point where it's like too, the grade is too steep. You have to use the ropes to get up. And how do they get up? They have to like, there's a word for it, but it's, of course, it's not coming to me. But on the ropes, they got to come all the way down and then extend their legs to come up, and go all the way down and extend their legs to come up. So we energetically are the same. When we take a jump or we take a leap, what do? We go down and we come so that we can jump higher than normal. If we avoid going down into, if we avoid going down in order to jump up, and we just, we jump with straight legs, our jump isn't that high. We don't ascend very much. So when we avoid these kind of waves that take us down, then we can only go up as high as we are willing to go down. And what is willingness puts us in the life expansive emotions, that these beautiful cards that I love so much. Willingness. I was willing these last 4 days to sit down here, to constrict so far down, to cleanse this, so that I can rise up higher into the light. And that is just that's the bravery that it takes in this ascension process, to face these lower realms, because we've lived them, and we didn't clear them, we didn't live them while we were going through it. We packed it in somewhere, we avoided it, pretending it didn't exist, we ignored it, we overcompensated for it and said, oh, I'll take that on. And we've taken other people's, as empaths, many of us have taken other people's stuff and packed it in, in these little, stored them in these little pockets of our energetic being. But now we can't take that with us. We can't jump high if we are laden down, if we are heavy. And think of a physical body. A healthy body is going to jump way higher than a heavy body, than an obese body. It's the same thing energetically. So what we are doing is we are bringing our whole multidimensional being, spiritual being, energetic, mental, as well as our physical body. We are bringing that whole body into alignment, and we are cleansing all parts of it. So that's why the intensity is so much right now, because we are being given energies that we have never had before. So what I also wanted to share, a text that I was texting with a friend just a little bit ago. And this is something that I found myself typing. And then as I typed it, I was using language that I hadn't really thought about, but I thought it was interesting, because I think something else, it really opened my perspective to something else that's happening. So I said, she said, I've been gone for a couple of weeks, just like in her own world, doing her work. And she's like, hey, I haven't texted in 2 weeks. And I said, well, welcome back. I said, I too have been in hermit mode. Intense is right with the energies. And because she was like, it's been so intense. I said, I have not felt a shift yet, but sitting underneath the initiation of these energies for the past few days. I know as far as they are taking me means the other side will be quite bright, but this is certainly some kind of rite of passage I'm in. That said, I totally respect the passage, because I have seen where I am going, and it truly is heaven on earth, but getting there, ascending in consciousness, hasn't been easy. So I was surprised with these words that I was using, because they hadn't occurred to me prior. But as I sat with them, I thought, oh, this is familiar. Remember, we talk about cycles. These are cycles. And this time last year, if you tuned into the daily tune-ins with me, I was really getting into an uncomfortable space, and I was in Ukraine at the time. And not quite, but in a couple of weeks, then it'll be almost exactly a year, where we started to get the emails from the embassy. And the embassy was like, hey, there's war coming. You start finding a way out. And also Bud and I were trying to find a way out already, but we had the dog. And so, we just flying out really wasn't feasible. And we were trying to get down here to Saranda, but all the things, like we couldn't find someone to drive us. And so it was like, there was no way out. We didn't have a way out. So, but we had a desire. And yet we didn't have the way. So sitting in that was really, really, really hard. And it got to a point where I remember at one point being in Ukraine and being in this deep dive down into those lower realms. And it got so uncomfortable. And I remember at one point just crying, being like, how are we getting out of here, honey? Like, what are we going to do? And I mean, we didn't have a ton of, we didn't have the money to to go buy our way out. Like, we had what we had, and we knew we had to save that in order to eventually pay a driver. But finding someone who was willing to drive us the 30 hours from there to here was hard, was challenging. And also knowing that time was of the essence, like we had to get out at that point, and having everything work out. It was so out of our control. It was beyond what we had power over. And at one point I was pretty deep. And what I noticed as I was, oh, and just to finish that, so when the miraculous call came, the one guy that we knew of that was willing to do it, he just didn't have the time in our time frame. He all of a sudden called and he said, "I've got 3 days where I can do this. If you got to be ready, we're going to go, and I'm going to get back," because he had to get back before war broke out and they closed the borders, and he had a family to get back to. So, and in that 30 days, or that 30-hour drive, I called it the initiation. But what I realize now, looking back on that, is the timing up unto into that physical initiation phase was an energetic initiation phase. It was so intense in consciousness to hold the knowing that, yes, it's out of our power. However, Gus has this, God, universe, spirit. I know it. It's out of my power. But holding that was the hardest thing, and not allowing myself to be taken down and drowned by those lower realms of hopelessness. I had to feel them when they came through. And when they passed, I had to go back into the knowing and the being in peace of just knowing that this, yes, it's out of my control. I'm at peace with that. And I'm allowing this initiation. I'm allowing this rite of passage to do what it has to do. And then until that moment that phone call came, then we knew we're out, right? And the physical transition then happened. But I didn't know all of that at the time. I was just experiencing it. And what I'm finding is a year later, this same cycle is happening. And and the last few days of that hopelessness is, I don't know how I'm getting back to the States. I don't know where I'm going back to, really. And I have an idea of what we want this to look like, but I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to be to get 2 dogs back. So there has been this hopelessness of, I feel so distant from my family, and I also feel like in time it's going to be a long time before I get back. And I was really sad about that, because I'm ready. Like, Albania is it wants to eject me. Basically, it wants me out with all of the construction noise, with just everything going on here. It's just not my place. I am not resonating with it anymore. We are at a completely different resonance. So it's very uncomfortable for me to be here. Not unsafe, but just uncomfortable energetically. So these last few days, what I realized when I was typing that text is, oh my gosh, I'm in that same hopelessness. I'm in that same space. I'm in that place of, okay, I have to feel these waves, and yet I can't get taken under by them. I can't lose myself to them. I can't be a victim of them. So there's this fine line of feeling them, allowing them to be cleansed. And then there comes the moment when it's like, I'm done. I have cleared it. And now I sit in the understanding that the way is not for me to control. The way is for me simply to be an open receptivity to. The other thing that we have to remember is, in materializing our heaven on earth, as we move into this second month of manifesting and materializing this heaven on earth year, this Jubilee year, we are now moving into a completely different realm of materialization. Okay. So what happens is, our hearts are getting massive expansions. I don't know if y'all can feel it, but I mean, like, I don't know if it wasn't really grieving, but like the purging process that I had was just deep cries. And it really wasn't grief. It was just, and what I recognized, it was like, there's nothing to this. There's no story to this, whatever, like just something triggered it. And I just allowed myself to like deep cry, like I went through 3 or 4 different paper towels, like paper towels of like just blowing my nose. So all the energy and the physical stuff that followed the energy was just being purged from my body. And when I was complete with that, in the few cycles that I had, I would just sit back and I could feel my heart expanding. And what I know now, what I understand by sitting in this and asking, tell me more about this process. How can I go deeper to explain my experience? What I know now is our energetics are expanding because our consciousness has expanded, and because now we have plugged into to the fifth dimensional. We have these energies have opened up the 12 fifth dimensional strands of DNA. We talked about this. And those 12 strands then correspond with the 12 energy centers, the 12 power centers of us. And we are now operating with 12 energy centers when we have only known 7. We've known the root chakra up to the crown chakra. And from the root to the throat is just the physical chakras. That's what has kept us in tune to our physical being. Then the third eye and the crown chakra was what tuned us into the psychic abilities. So we were able to tune into the psychic realm. But the last 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, the last 5 chakras that we are online, tap us into the higher realms. So we have now the soul star chakra that is operating for us and with us. We have the earth star chakra, which we've talked about. The I can't read my writing. It's the Solaris, the Galactic, and the Universal. So now we are tapped into universal realms at this point. So we are taking in new information and new data like we have never been able to before. That is why a lot of these energies are so overwhelming to us, because our energy system is learning to understand this new technology. This new technology is now this is where we have become this year a complete multi-dimensional being. And those last chakras coming online connect us to the metaverse, like the real metaverse, not like Facebook, hijacked metaverse, like, what's his name thinks he owns, but this is like the universal metaverse. So what we have as access to as far as information and wisdom is way beyond anything we have ever known. So not only are these energies coming in and cleansing us in totality, and our bodies are coming into these crystalline beings, but now we're taking in higher and higher levels of intelligence, and we are trying to our minds are trying to make sense of it, and our bodies and our energy bodies are feeling something completely new. And these thoughts that are coming in. So what I was texting to my friend is literally, y'all, in the last 24 hours, I have been sitting with what does the heaven on earth really look like for you? Where are you going? Like, where, it's not a question where are we going. They're like, what I've been getting in meditation is, look at this. Look at what we have planned for you. And I've been talking on here like, oh, my next step is we're going to go to California, the RV thing. And I'm excited about that. And yet, is that the full expression of my heaven on earth? No. And what I've been reminded in my meditation by my team, when I've been able to pass through these waves and settle down into the peace and say, what was that? Show me more. Tell me more. What I've been getting is these visions. It's nothing more than, I mean, I can't explain it anything less than it's a vision of, what about this? What is this, heaven on earth to you? And it's a yes. And it is me in a physical space that is a home, that is land, that is nature, that is my family. And there's an RV park right there. Like, it's the physical expression of my heaven on earth. And yesterday I said, I saw it and I said, that's it. Like, that's, yes, that's what I want. So this metaverse is now being able to communicate with my soul, with all of the possibilities, with all of the energies of the metaverse. And it's tapping me into now a possibility that feels so realistic. And what I got today as I sat down for this message is, this is the initiation phase for us to take a huge leap into that reality if you're clear on it. And I've gotten clear on it over the years, but I'm still in the old programming, the inverted programming of, you go step by step by step by step. So the next step would be, we get the RV and we buy some time until, life comes together, and then we finally find home base, and that's where we create our sustainable life and our communal living and all of the things. But what is happening now in this Jubilee year is we are being asked to align with the energy of, are you ready to ascend and skip some steps to go right, from where you are to that heaven on earth? That's what I got. That's the understanding I got in 24 hours ago. And in that moment, I was like, oh, so that big jump takes a lot more constriction down, because we have to be taken down into those lower levels so that we can ascend in a quick moment of time. And this time is the initiation phase. And it's like a rite of passage. If, we know about the Aborigines who, the tribes who have the rite of passage for their men, their teenage men, and they're trained to be warriors, and then they're sent out into the bush for a certain time. I don't know if it's a week, but for a certain time. We know Navy SEALs have that Hell Week, where that's the rite of passage. When you go out and you face your biggest fears, you come back completely a different person and empowered in who you are. You have been initiated. So this month, and I even said this the other day, the Earth Star chakra is about an initiation phase. And I'm starting to understand a little bit more. I don't know how all of this is going to look. I don't know how this all comes together. But what I understand for today in this moment is, we are being asked to compress as much as we are willing, to depress as much as we are willing to go. And I would encourage us all to have the courage to go as far deep as we can, as far down into those depths of emotion that we are willing to go, to compress all the way down. Because once that moment comes, that phone call comes, it'll be a literal, like for me last year, it was a literal phone call. It says, here's the time frame. This is when I can go. And that initiation phase before that was exactly getting me to the consciousness that I needed to say, yes, we will be ready. And when we were ready, we left. And that 30 hours, I've talked about it on the daily tune-ins. It was the most intense 30 hours of my life. I swear it really was. Holding the consciousness of knowing that this moment was taking us to a higher level of expression was hard, because there was a lot of pieces that that looked like they were stacked against us. So this is what we're getting ready for. We are getting initiated in consciousness to get the call that it's time. And when it's time, we will ascend into a higher realm of being and a higher expression of physical reality. So again, I'm going to say, I don't know. I don't understand all of this, y'all. I'm in this with you. And I'm just getting bits and pieces, just like consciousness works. It expands as we expand, as we're willing to expand. So it's on a need to know basis. It's on a moment to moment need to know basis. Here's what we need to know from my perspective at this point. I'm sharing that with you. If you all have something that is happening on your end, send me a message, because without texting with my friend earlier today, and another piece of this yesterday, another friend was texting me and she said, hey, I hadn't heard from her in weeks either. And she said, oh my God, what do you know about this place in California? This came to me and I have no idea why. I don't think it's for me. I think it's for you. And as I started to look at that place, I was mind blown, because I was like, that is a place that would be like heaven on earth for me to live. And it was a town I had never heard of. But it was in a place in Northern California that I know really, pretty well. And I'm like, how do I not know that town? And so that then expanded. When I went into meditation, I was literally shown heaven on earth, and it looked a lot like where this town would have the potential to hold. So there's something that's organizing here, but it took someone else's perspective, because she got a message that wasn't for her, but she knew to send it to me. I'm getting messages that I am sharing with you all because something in here might be for you to place a puzzle piece in your process. My other friend texting me today, she helped me put words to what I was going through that made me understand this process more. So it's taking all of us together, all of us pioneers, to be like, hey, here's what's happening on my side. What are you seeing over on yours? And I'm sharing over here, and someone's sharing over here. This is not an individual process. It is, but it's also a collective process. So that's why those of us that are here have to be sharing in some way. If something I say resonates with you, let me know, so that I can then see, oh, okay, what's working for her or him on that side. This is a really pivotal time, because we've never been in something like this. We have never, as humans, transcended from such a dense world into a higher world of existence in physical form. We've never ascended into heaven in physical form. So this is brand new, and I'm honored to be here. It is it's a crazy experience. It's a beautiful experience. It's a hard experience. It is a completely experiential experience. It's not this anymore. It is pulling in these energies and just allowing ourselves to compute them and translate them with our hearts and say, oh, this feels good. So as these new energy centers are coming online and we're operating with them, not only are we getting a vast amount of new knowledge, but our hearts are expanding. So we have a vastly massive electromagnetic field that is expanding beyond us more than ever before, which is why heaven on earth is now possible, because we are this electromagnetic light that is radiating now, beaming and pulling in all of the parts that will manifest this into physical reality. And we're going to keep breaking this down all through this month, because it's a whole new process of materializing and projecting a new reality from our hearts, from our pineal glands. So let's go. It feels like me. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying. Jessica says, I haven't had a good night's sleep in a month. These energies are intense. Yeah. It's funny because some people are like, I haven't slept, and I've slept hard. Days are really hard for me. Like the waking moments are challenging for me. Love this group and talking about Schumann. Gives me peace to know others on the same page. I don't have anyone to talk to about this. So joyful. Yeah, this is a really big thing. Like, there aren't many people that we can talk to about this, because it is such a holy cow. It's a realm that most humans aren't in yet. That's why, it's not an ego, like we are the pioneers. We are literally the pioneers, because we are talking about a topic. We are experiencing this process. We are one of the first waves to go. I'm not saying that we're the first wave. I don't know what wave we are, but we are one of the first. So there's not many people that have gone through this that can talk about it. There's a lot of people that know about it who are all in it, but we're at different phases of it. So this phase, those of us that come together here are pretty much on the same wave. So that's why we can come together on these peace talks and understand and feel communal with this process. Yes, Cap, that's community are my people. I felt so alone before. Me too, y'all. Yesterday I did too. I feel I belong here too. I'm 6 years into this now. I told my husband just a couple days ago I've been in hermit mode, which is uncharacteristic of me, the extrovert, and it has felt necessary. 2 words for my year: surrender and hermit. Yeah, this has been a really big hermit year for me as well. I've always been super, super extroverted and wanting to be around people. And I still find myself like, oh, I want to go be around people. And I went to my friend's, restaurant that they have here. They moved location. So I was like, oh, I'll go for their first night. And I was around people for maybe an hour. And then I was like, okay, guys, I have to go walk the dogs. I use the dogs as an excuse, but I was breathing heavily, like clearing all of the energy. I was like, I can't, we're taking in so much energy. So I realized that the extrovert in me did not want to be extroverted anymore. So a lot is changing in us. I've been mostly in hermit mode for 4 years. It allowed me to learn and clear so much. It's really difficult to relate to the people in my life, but I wouldn't change it for anything. Yeah, that's the hardest part about this. Before I'm noticing, I know where we're going, and the communal and our soul family comes together and the heaven on earth. But the in between phase it is lonely, because and that was a lot of some of what I've moved through these last few days, is kind of like missing the days of just being around people that I recognize, being around friends and family. And my friend used to, we'd go have bonfires at her house, and we'd sit around the bonfire. My kids would come, and I had a community, and I really, in this year and a half, it's just been Bud and I. Now it's just me. And it can appear to the mind to be very lonely, and yet I understand that I had to be here, like you said, Kat, like for 4 years. You have to choose it. And at the same time, it can feel so, hermit mode is a weird thing. It's a beautiful time, and it's exploratory, and we learn so much about ourselves. But there's something about me that's missing being around people. But I think we're all agreeing here. We need to be around people, physically and emotionally and spiritually, that all resonate, because trying to just soothe that need with those who aren't even close to this process or understanding this process, it just exacerbates the challenges. It doesn't really soothe the need. That was me last one. Ugly cries and snotty sleeves, all clearing. Oh my God. I didn't even know. Like literally at one point I was like, where's all, like, I was like, it's blowing. And then all of a sudden I was like, where's all this snot coming from? Like, where is it? But I have it in my mind. I have no idea if this is factual, but I'm like, this is all clearing the third eye. It's just somehow like blowing it out, and it feels like it's coming out from here. Like, I feel like that's all the gunk that's been stored, the energy that's been stored, or, clogging up my crown chakra for lifetimes, and my pineal gland. So these ugly cries, I envision it just cleansing and clearing this whole area as well. And it feels like it works, because after all that cleansing, clearing, and snottiness, then all of a sudden I started downloading understandings to be able to come and talk to you and share this experience with you all. So to me, that snot was just old gunk, so we've got old poo and old gunk and snot, and we can call it the physical expression that it is, but it's just energy. And boy, there was a lot coming out in the form of tears, in the form of snot. I was sweating, and then there was other, movements of the stomach as well that were purging as well. So, like, let's be honest here. This is not a pretty experience too. What is the best to message you? We've connected on IG. Yeah, on IG is good. I think that's good. IG for now, because I do a lot of communication on IG. I have WhatsApp too. I think I have your, if you just shoot me an email too. Oh, email is just good. My email, if I say it here, I have your email. Whatever, just hopefully spam people don't do this, but it's connect@VadetteMayer.com. So just send me an email. That's a good way for us to keep in contact too. Kat says, LOL was speaking to Vedette, but love to connect with you, Jessica, as well. Yeah, I'll tell you what, y'all, during the daily tune in time when I was doing those, we had quite a community. I mean, again, we had the Ascension Bank that many of us were communing in, but just like I've said, running an online community, it felt too much for me to keep up with. So I don't want to commit to that. But there's a ton. I mean, a ton, but there's a lot of relationships that were developed by connecting outside of the daily tune-ins, outside of these, taking it, I say offline, but taking it to an email or WhatsApp or just even on social media. There's a couple of groups that are still meeting that met on daily tune-ins. The two friends actually, I've got three friends that I pretty much talked with throughout the week. One in Scotland, one in who cares where they are, but they came from the daily tune-in community. So this is where we're putting our community together. So reach out to me. Let's take this offline, off YouTube and into a more personal conversation, because I'm here for that. And eventually my dream is on my heaven and earth, we will get around a bonfire, and really truly be offline. I would love that. So, okay, that's what I got. It is quite intense. I feel it. I know it. And I look forward to Sunday, because I love pulling these messages in. They help me make sense of things. And then I hear myself talk it out, but I understand it even more deeply. So thank you for joining me, and thank you for, I hold myself. I just choose to do this to hold myself accountable to tune in, because if I just had days like I did the last couple of days, I would probably still be on that couch, like all, crying and feeling sorry for myself. But there comes that point where I'm like, okay, I need to understand this, and I want to, but I also hold myself accountable by doing these, and by doing them, I feel better. I feel the light. I feel energy flow through me. I cleanse even deeper. So thank you for being part of that process. I really do appreciate it. And this is an interesting one, but we are in an initiation phase, y'all. I don't know where it's taken us. I mean, I don't know, but this month is going to be really interesting on these peace talks. Like, as far as where we go with these, I have no idea. That's what I love too. I have no idea. I don't have a plan. And I literally usually don't have a plan until a couple hours before I show up here. And that plan is usually what spirit needs to communicate. So these are fun for me. It's like a scavenger hunt into this new realm, into our initiation moment. So let's just keep walking that path together. So much love to you all. Mwah. Take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.